Welcome back to the Millennial Bard. The new Superman is almost here. And in this video, I'm sharing why this movie matters so much to me. What am I hoping for? What are my concerns? And why this might be the moment we all really need right now. Drop your expectations in the comments and let's fly into it. Superhero space in cinema has changed massively since the 20th century. Back then, heroes were icons, bright, hopeful, mythic. But in the 21st century, we've gotten grittier, more grounded, and a lot more cynical. Shows and films like The Boys, Invincible, and Brightburn reflect our collective exhaustion. As millennials, we grew up with global trauma as our background noise. From 9/11 to the financial collapse, from wars to the constant churn of social decay. We're the generation with more questions than answers. Questions like, what does it mean to be human anymore? What's real? What's worth fighting for? And are we even capable of saving ourselves? And cinema mirrored that shift. X-Men gave us allegories, Raimi's Spider-Man showed us urban anxiety, and The Dark Knight defined a whole era of grounded realism. Even Marvel's lighter tone carried pain. From Tony Stark's alcoholism to the Winter Soldier's PTSD, Thor's grief, and an entire cocktail of mental health issues across the Thunderbolts and Moon Knight. And now, maybe we've had enough. With war zones in the Middle East, in Ukraine, and rising unrest in our own countries, our news feeds feel like dystopian fiction. And yet, Instagram and TikTok keep selling us squashas and seven-figure dreams. We've normalized decay. We joke about it, meme it, and wrap it in humor. But it's still there. And deep down, we know we need something else. Something that doesn't just reflect our pain, but reminds us of what we can be. And that's why we need this movie. That's why we need Superman. Not just a hero who's strong, but one who's good. Not someone who just mirrors our rage, but someone who lifts us out of it. Batman lives in our subconscious, but Superman is who we should aspire to be. Now, the word that came to my mind when I first watched the Superman teaser, and a word that really resonates with what Superman really stands for, is hope. And so I've got my own set of hopes from this movie. And my first hope from this movie is watching David Corenswet as the Superman. Look, I loved Henry Cavill. The man looked like Superman, but he was never given Superman. He never got the right script. So when David Corenswet was announced, I was cautiously optimistic. But then that trailer dropped. And with that one subtle shift in posture and that change in tone, I knew that this was Superman.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
The warmth, the restraint, the gentle strength. He has the look, the energy, and the promise of delivering on screen. The second thing I'm really excited for in this movie is Krypto. We've never really seen Krypto in live action. I love the animated shows and I love the League of Super Pets, but this is something else. And I've always wanted to see that dynamic. Not a gimmick, but as heart of the movie. And even if the rest of the movie misses, I'm already happy knowing that we're getting Superman and Krypto together on the big screen. And now the final thing that I'm really hopeful for is a positive and uplifting tone. And this one's deeply personal. The Snyderverse really wasn't for me. It was dark, visually, tonally, and emotionally. And it was beautiful in parts. Whether that was the first act of Man of Steel or Batman's introduction in Batman vs. Superman, which, by the way, was just iconic. But overall, it was a little too heavy. I come to superhero films to feel good, to find the light. And this movie looks like sunshine. It's vibrant, it's alive, and it believes in hope. And listen, Superman isn't special because he's strong. He's special because he chooses to believe in humanity, even when it fails him. Superman doesn't punish. He protects. He doesn't dominate. He serves. He's the good guy because he wants to be. And I think we need that reminder now more than ever. And I believe and I have faith in what James Gunn's vision is. And if you want more of my thoughts on that, please check out my other video. I break it all down there. I've talked about all the good stuff that I'm expecting from this movie, but I do believe there could be some kryptonite as well. And my first concern with this movie is it trying to do too much? This movie is packed. You've got Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Ultraman, Guy Gardner, the Engineer, and that is ambitious. You see, Marvel took years to build the first Avengers movie. Warner Brothers rushed it with BVS and drove it into the ground. So I hope this is still a Superman movie first, and not just a setup for a franchise or the universe. Now, I've seen some early reactions for the movie. Thankfully, most of them are positive, some are mid. There's a few that are nuclear. One common thread, it's goofy and it's silly, which is very James Gunn. And really, I'm fine with silly and goofy if it's rooted in the character. But silly and goofy can tip into CW level cringe and stupidity very quickly. And I believe Gunn's got the talent to walk that tight line, but that landing really needs to stick. And now, my final concern. Look, I get it. The Snyder Cut was a big win for the fans. It proved that studios can listen. And Zack Snyder's Justice League was just spectacular. But this faction of fans really never moved on. They're actively trying to sabotage Gunn's DCU, flooding forums, review bombing, and creating a lot of noise. I will say it. That's not fandom. That is sabotage. And I hope Warner Brothers really backs the creatives that they've hired to build this universe. And they don't cave in at the first sign of trouble the way they did during Snyder's days at the studio. Now, all said and done, I am hopeful. I've got my IMAX ticket, I've got the dream seat, I've got my food voucher, and I've got a fair idea of what I'm going to wear to the movie tomorrow. But there's something far more important than all of those things. I'm headed to this movie not as a critic, but as that 8-year-old who watched Superman the Animated Series for the first time and just fell in love with every part of it. This movie is for that kid, for the kid who grew up, faced the world, and still firmly believes that doing the right thing really matters. That love, kindness, and a pure heart are still our strongest weapons in a world that's driven by rage and noise. Now, I did a video on Superman when the teaser first came out in the month of February. It's a pretty detailed video that goes into all the things that I observed in the trailer and going deeper into the character and James Gunn, the writer director. So if you're interested and if you haven't watched it already, please give it a watch and make sure to subscribe to the Millennial part. I'll be posting my spoiler free first reactions right after the movie screening tomorrow, followed by a full reaction video to this movie next week. Until next time, this is the Millennial part signing off.